So I decided a couple years ago that having children is probably not in the cards for me. Now, I have chalked this up to feminism, global warming, the rising cost of childcare, you name it. But the truth is, my relationship with my own mother is complicated on a good day. My mom was inconvenienced by her role, and she made that abundantly clear. It's instilled in me this fear that I might actually be something like her. You know, it's totally possible that I may also lack that loving, nurturing, caring instinct. And the thought of failing a child and letting them down is too horrible to consider. Now, that being said, I did decide in 2021 that I could handle adopting a dog. Thank you, yes, thank you. Thinking that that is the easier, gentler introduction into motherhood, and I don't know that I've ever been so wrong about something. Since bringing home my dog, Ro, a Labradoodle I was told would be 25 pounds and today is clocking in at 47, my life has been nonstop commotion. This past Halloween, I dropped Ro off at daycare, I went to work, and not 30 minutes later, I received a phone call that another dog had bit Ro's ear. He was fine, they reassured me through my panic, but ears tend to bleed a lot, so it looked worse than it was, and they wondered if I might be willing to rearrange my entire schedule so he could be at home with me and not in the traumatizing playroom. Of course, I said, and I went about making the various accommodations. The next day, I'm working from home, Ro is asleep at my feet, I'm on a call. He hears something at the front door and takes off running and barking as loud as he possibly can muster. And to be honest, I'm pissed off because I have rearranged my schedule on his behalf, and now I can't hear what's being said to me from the conference room, nor can I respond back. He finally settles down, I get off my call, and I go into the kitchen to get a glass of water. As I'm walking towards the sink, I notice pools of blood all over the floor. Immediately, my heartbeat is in my ears, and I am wondering how there can be so much blood considering I haven't noticed a disturbance of any kind, and I like to think I'm pretty astute. I find Ro in my bathroom, laying down, seeming perfectly content, except his tail is gushing blood. Now, in my adrenaline-rushed, extremely confused state, I am trying to piece together how his ear wound from yesterday could have possibly inflicted his tail today. I grab towels and I'm on the phone with the vet in under 30 seconds explaining, "Hi, my name is Stephanie. My dog Ro is a patient here. I have no idea what the hell has happened, but his tail is gushing blood. Could I please bring him in to be seen right now?" "Sorry," they tell me nonchalantly. "We're totally booked for the day. But tails tend to bleed a lot. Second only to the ear. Apply pressure for 15 minutes. If that doesn't work, take him to the emergency room on H Street. We have appointments tomorrow. We'd be happy to see you then." I sit down on the ground, clutching Ro's tail the way I've been instructed. He is staring at me like he can't quite imagine a fate worse than his. I'm staring back at him like I'm also not having a great time. And with each passing moment, I am becoming increasingly skeptical that this apply pressure tactic is working, but I'm also getting increasingly anxious that I might be seen here as a negligent dog parent, which, as you might expect from my own upbringing, is a pretty big concern. But miraculously, at minute 15, the bleeding stops and I pat myself on the back for trusting the process and showing up for Ro in his time of need. I go into the kitchen to begin cleaning up the mess, and as I do this, Ro comes out of the bathroom, stretches his legs in the perfect darling way that only a dog can, shakes his little body, and his tail bursts back open, and blood begins to fly. At that, I'm on the move. I've got my keys, my phone, my wallet. I'm putting my shoes on, his harness on, and we take off down the hall towards the elevators. Ro is happier than he's ever been, wagging his tail, thinking he's finally getting a decent walk after several hours indoors. And with each wag of his tail down the hall, he is covering the walls and floors of my building in his blood. We make it into the car, take off down towards H Street, and on the drive over, I realize I should call the front desk of my building. We've left a bit of a mess behind, and it's about 5:30 when folks will be coming home. I call the concierge, the 24/7 maintenance line. Neither answer, so I leave voicemails for both, explaining the situation, that I'm deeply sorry for the mess, and I'll be home as soon as I'm able to clean everything up. When we get to the emergency room, they see us right away, and the vet tech is reassuring me, don't worry, this happens all the time. He's gonna be just fine. Also, his tail might need to be amputated. She tells me it'll cost about 3 times as much to amputate the tail in the emergency room, so what she would like to recommend is that they wrap the tail to stop the bleeding for the evening, and I take him to his regular doctor the next day. That sounds like a great plan. She starts to wrap his tail, and as she does this, I get a phone call from the front desk of my building. So I answer, hello, this is Stephanie. Hi, Stephanie, this is the front desk calling. The police are here looking for you. At these words, my heart drops into my stomach fully falls out of my ass, and I say, is this about the blood on the 6th floor? Yes, it is, and she passes the phone to the police officer. Stephanie, where are you? Are you safe right now? I'm fine, my dog, he got cut, he wagged his tail. I called, I left voicemails, I really tried to avoid this from happening. Okay, where are you right now? We need an exact address so we can come do a drive-by to make sure you haven't been taken hostage. I hang up the phone, and now I know for certain that not only am I going to be arrested for being the world's worst dog parent, but I am almost certainly doing time for wasting police resources. The vet tech finishes wrapping Ro's tail, tells me to go to the front lobby. I can pay my bill and wait for the police officer there. And on the walk to the front lobby, 2 things happen. Number 1, Ro wags his tail with such vigor and excitement that his bandage comes flying off and blood once again is coating every surface area in sight. And number 2, my best friend Jackie FaceTimes me, apologizing for the poor timing, but explaining she's just gotten home from work and she thinks she hears voices coming from inside of her house. So could I stay on the line with her while she checks the crawl space for intruders? So let me set the scene for you. I'm in the front lobby. I've got a full audience now. And I am crouched on the ground, clutching Ro to my chest, and they are rewrapping his tail. And I am FaceTiming Jackie, and it's with my life falling apart that the police officer walks through the front door and says, "Are you Stephanie?" And I say, "Yes, and this is my dog, Ro." He says, "Okay, I think I understand what happened here. You see, your neighbors were pretty concerned. It was a massive amount of blood that led from the elevator bank directly to your front door. We entered your home and we found blood on the walls, the floors, the shower curtain. The trash can underneath of your sink had been pulled out and it was filled with bloody towels. Your laptop was left open on your couch and a glass had tipped over, so we did have reason to believe that there was a struggle. We've left your police report at the front desk. Have a great night." Which, to be honest, is the most laughable thing you could say to me at that point. I finally get to leave, and the next day I take Ro to the vet. Now, for context, Ro adores going to the vet. I mean that very sincerely. But on this particular visit, he is not having a good time. He's whining and crying, attempting to get off the table as they examine his ear and his tail. Tears are streaming down my face, and it dawns on me that if my job as his caretaker is to protect him and keep him safe, then I have failed in the bloodiest way possible. Ro was supposed to be my easy, gentle introduction into motherhood, and this isn't feeling particularly easy or gentle. In fact, since Ro came into my life, it's just been non-stop chaos. he has destroyed our home. And I mean, before this incident happened, I knew I would never live to see a security deposit again. He has ruined every pair of jeans I've ever owned or looked good in, and jeans are famously hard to come by. And he has scared off every male suitor who's shown even half an ounce of interest in me. And yet I'm cataloging all of these things, and I'm realizing there is nothing he could do that would change the fact that I am desperate to take his pain away from him right now. There's not one thing this oversized bear of a dog could do that would change any of the decisions I made to bring him home. And the vet sees how upset I am, and she says, "Hey, you did everything right. He's going to be just fine." I do not acknowledge that. And she says, "No, do you know what the official diagnosis of this is? This is called happy tail. Some dogs are so happy that they literally bust their own tails open. You are doing a phenomenal job with this dog. In fact, every time you bring Ro in for a visit, we all remark on how incredible you are with him." As she says these words to me, it occurs to me for maybe the first time ever that I have lived my entire life in fear that I am someday going to be like my own mother. And it is while speaking to a vet, with my dog still covered in his own blood from the night before, that I realize there is no chance in hell I could be anything like my mother. And I am so capable of so much love and so much devotion. And the proof of that is in the happy tale. Clap along.